Hey, Paul, thanks for showing up today and joining us. Why don't you just start off by telling us your name and where you're from?
My name is Paul Vasco, and I'm from Pennsylvania,
Okay.
Pottstown, Pennsylvania,
Pottstown.
and but I've been here now for a couple of years.
Okay. And what branch of the military did you serve in?
I was in the Army Infantry, the 87th Infantry Division.
Okay. And what made you go to the military? Was it the draft or?
The draft.
It was the draft?
I had just graduated from high school,
Okay.
and then within a couple months I was already in the Army, and I had my basic training at Camp Blanding, Florida.
Camp Blanding. And you were 18 years old?
I was 18 years old.
And you were infantryman over there, so how long did you spend in the military?
Actually, it was a total of about 20 months.
Okay.
And so by the time the war was over, they sent us back, and we were originally supposed to, from what I understand later that I had gotten some information, we were slated to hit the beach in Japan. But while I was home on a 30-day leave, they had dropped the bomb and ended the war.
Wow. Talk about timing.
Yeah.
And while you were there, you received some accommodations while you were there?
You mean in the Army?
Yes, while you were in the Army?
Oh, yes. I have 7 ribbons, I have the Combat Infantry Badge.
Okay.
I have the Bronze Star.
Bronze Star.
I have the Purple Heart,
Mm-hmm.
the Good Conduct Medal, the American Theater Ribbon, the European Theater Ribbon with 3 campaign stars, and then the Victory Medal and the Occupational Medal.
Okay. And do you recall what they cited the Bronze Star for you?
I don't remember exactly, but I know that I was wounded, and that was a long time. I was still 18 years old when I was wounded,
Wow.
because I was in the infantry and right up in the front lines.
Mm-hmm.
And as a rifleman scout, and I had my 19th birthday in an American hospital in France, after which I was right back up into the front lines again.
You don't waste any time.
Yeah. But I had been in the Battle of the Bulge, which better known as the Ardennes campaign.
Yes, yes.
And I was in the Rhineland campaign, and then the Central European campaign. I was in the Third Army, General Patton's Third Army.
Do you have any, were there any influential people that you met while you were in the military that stuck with you?
Nothing that I can remember as such at this time.
And what was one of your fondest memories while you were serving?
Let's see. I know that after the war, and we were in Germany at the time, and we were separated from battalion as a company. Company L is what I was in, the 345th Infantry Regiment. And they needed a bugler.
Ah.
So I said, all right, I'll play the bugle. I had never held a bugle in my hand before. but they handed me the reason why I said I could do it is because I played trombone, and I played violin, drum, and trombone in high school and in the band and the things, and because the mouth was the lip, you know, was about the same. You could play the bugle, and so I did. I had. They needed to play someone who was a bugler, and I volunteered for that, and in return I didn't have to do any KP or any details.
That's a good trade. That's a good trade. I had the unfortunateness to do KP for a little bit.
Yeah.
All right.
And another thing too, I said to the captain when he asked me to be the bugler, is it's I was on every third day we were on motorized patrol, and I said it's a chance to see the countryside without somebody shooting at me.
And did it go that way?
Yeah.
Good way to think about that.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you had some camaraderie and some fellows that were good friends of yours. Did you stay in touch with them after you left, after you separated?
Yeah. When the day, right before the day I was wounded, my group that we had was down from 38 men, as I remember. We were down to 9 men. There was 9 of us left. And that was the day before I was wounded, and the following day why I was wounded, and I was wounded early in the morning and right at sunrise. And they didn't get me out of there till after sunset. So it was quite a while. I was wounded in my thigh.
Your thigh? Was it a round?
Right here.
Yeah, okay.
So that was a long time ago. Those were some of the memories I have. And it was interesting just to talk to the other members,
Well, you were young then too. So
yes.
You were very young. So being as young as you were, I know you were only there for a short period of time. But what do you think as a man now, umpteen years later, the military, did it instill any type of certain values in you or anything like that that you used throughout the rest of your life?
Well, it was something you didn't think about as you were growing up when you were smaller. And you wonder, and to be friends and listen to some of the others who were in your regiment at the time, and so you sometimes compared stories. We confided in one another and told about many things that happened in our lifetime. And that was an interesting feature, you might say. And I kept in touch with some of them after the war, too. And it was just something.
Very tough. Very tough. So when you came back to Pottstown, you were probably around 20 years old, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I was.
How was life after that? Obviously now you have old adult children.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
I have children and grandchildren, and right now 12 great-grandchildren.
12 great-grandchildren. Way to go. Way to go.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was something.
And so you lived in Pottstown majority of your whole life.
Most of it was in York, Pennsylvania.
Oh,
I lived
York.
in Pennsylvania at 4 different places, actually. Williamsport for a couple of years. Pottstown is where I grew up. I lived most of my life in York, Pennsylvania.
Okay, I know that.
And then outside of Philadelphia there for a few years, and then came down
Good
to
old
Florida.
Philly.
Yeah.
Very good. And you said you moved out here to Florida, what was that, about how long ago?
I moved down in Florida, well, to this place at Meese. It was 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
And before that, I was at my daughter's place. I used to come down for several years, especially in the wintertime.
Of
I
course.
didn't like the cold weather.
Of course. Feels better on the bones down here.
Yeah, it's something.
So what did you, while you were in Pennsylvania, what did you do as an adult as far as your career-wise or work-wise or anything?
Well, I went to school and I was mainly in the engineering area because I was a checker, I was a drafting supervisor, I was a designer, and that's basically what I did, and then retired. I've been retired right now, was it 36 years?
Oh boy. And one more time for those that didn't catch it, what is your current age right now?
My current age is 98 years old.
98 years young.
Yeah, right. Actually, another year and a half, and I'll make it at the 3 figures.
You'll be right there. Well, we'll come back and see you then for sure. And I'm curious, when you were getting ready to come back home from the war, and you finally came back to Pennsylvania, what was that like for you? Like being so young, 19, 20 years old?
Because of what I had been through during the war, I wanted to get out of the service and get back into civilian life. And that's what I did. And like I mentioned a while ago, I went to school and then did the work in industry and raised a family. I have 4 lovely daughters.
Good for you.
And they're all very good, very pleasant.
Now, at least, did you receive warm welcomes when you came home?
I'm sorry.
Did you receive warm welcomes? When
Oh,
you
yes,
came
from
home?
my
Okay,
family.
good.
Yeah. And of course, I was glad to get out of the service
Of
and
course.
be on my own, so to speak.
Live your life.
Yeah.
And a good life you led.
It's been interesting from time to time. There have been momentous occasions.
Well, that's outstanding. Well, Paul, I want to say, let me ask you this. If there was a younger gentleman, younger than me, who's never been in the military and really wants to think about going in, would you have extensive experience in your life. Is there any words of advice you would give to any young man at 18
Well,
years old?
it would be what they feel they would like to do. And they should prepare and pursue that line and improve as they go along.
Now, if you had to give is there one quote that you live by or one philosophy that you always stick to and you've shared with your children and grandchildren throughout the years? Is there one piece that just keeps Paul straight?
Well, to do your best and keep at it,
Let's keep trucking.
yeah, keep trying, and be
Understand.
pleasant.
Be pleasant. Well, it shows. Paul, listen, I want to thank you for your time here. I told you it was going to be pretty quick and painless.
All right.
So I thank you very much for your time. On behalf of the Pinellas County Veterans Association and everyone here at Mace Life, we thank you for your service. We thank you for your time.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.